Hi, my name is Golobov, and in this video I'm going to walk you through the development and design choices of my Portal 2 map, The Blue Stuff. During the early stages of this map, my complete focus was on using Portal 2's own design tool, Puzzle Maker. It was easy to use and perfect for exploring different puzzle designs and gameplay flow. When I felt pretty happy with the result, I exported the map to Hammer to continue develop the level. When designing this level, my main focus was to reuse specific puzzle elements in various ways, especially the excursion funnel, gravity, and the repulsion gel. When the player enters the level, she might get slightly overwhelmed in the first few seconds, which is common for Portal 2's puzzle chambers. A big part of the challenge lies in analyzing the environment to understand in which order the puzzles must be solved. The faith plates plays an important role in the beginning of the level and in the final gameplay moment. In the beginning, it is the first interactive element the player encounter, and it lets her get a good overview of what she's dealing with. Also, the level's exit gets presented at this moment. The first step is to turn off the laser fields which hinders the players from getting to the second room. And in order to accomplish this task, the player must locate the second button in the first room. However, there is a glass panel blocking the player's path. To solve this, the player must utilize the excursion funnel by switching its polarity and use it to travel across the obstacle. The second step is to reach the second room. It was intentional to leave the first room with some puzzles unfinished, because I want to motivate the player to continue playing even if she got stuck for a little while. In the second room, I took advantage of the gravity mechanic in Portal 2. To solve the puzzles here, the player must utilize the pit to her left to gain enough momentum to reach different spaces. The first thing to do is to overcome the fizzler field in front of the laser beam by putting a portal to the right of it and one in the pit to the left. This lets the player reach the beam from above instead. The laser receiver then deactivates the laser field, which allows the player to push the first button in the room. This button lowers the side panels that previously blocked the player's path to the second button in the room. The third step is to reach the small room where the cube is placed. To do this, the player must place a portal here and use the gravity to reach the platform where the second button is located. Once pressed, a panel furthest back in the room flips to a portable tile, but there's nothing underneath it but deadly water. The player must place a portal on the flipped panel and jump back to the pit once again. When the player reaches the cube room, she cannot simply bring the cube back the same way as she came, because the fizzler field is blocking the player's path. The trick here is to remember the puzzle elements from the first room and combine them with the elements available in the current room. The fourth step involves getting the cube through the other side of the fizzler field where the cube holder for the gel dispenser is placed. First, the player must push the button to switch the polarity of the excursion funnel. Then, jump down to the pressure plate in front of the fizzler field, which deactivates the fizzler field and flips a portable tile behind the player. The flipped panel is only active when the player is standing on the pressure plate. Then it is simply to release the cube into the funnel so it alone can travel to the room. When the cube is in place, the last steps involves using the blue stuff to reach the exit of the level. First, the player must reach the bottom to switch the polarity of the excursion funnel again. Then the player must place a portal on the funnel tile and on this tile to guide the bounce gel to cover the area next to the bottom completely. But the player can't reach the exit by only bouncing from where she stands. Rather, she must use the faceplate below for the extra momentum. And that is the end of my map, the blue stuff. The amount of feedback was huge when I released my map on Steam. There were criticism of some textures, lack of lighting, and thoughts on level elements. For example, one user wrote, "The fizzler and laser could just be grading instead," which referred to an old setup which prevented the player from getting the cube in the first room. I noticed from playtesting and user videos that the old setup was broken because players solved the puzzle in unintentional ways. Another user wrote, "A lot of test elements are used in multiple ways, but the laser is only used once and very briefly. Is there any other way you could utilize the laser?" Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to address this issue, even though I thought it was a valid point. If future iterations occur, this is the first design issue I will correct. Finally, there were discussions about losing the cube in the fizzler field. If the player were to lose the cube, I tried to make the path easier to the cube again without making through as many steps as before. I agree that it's still slightly clunky to repeat some of the earlier steps to solve the fourth step, and the punishment might be a bit too great for the player. However, I have yet to decide how to ease the cube recovery process without seriously altering the level flow and progression of the map. But I do consider this as an issue and might address it in future iterations. In conclusion, it was a fun and interesting experience working with an audience. I learned a lot about working with textures, lighting, level dressing, and the fundamentals of the Hammer editor. Thank you all for the feedback and playthroughs. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please contact me at jonathan@golobov.se.